Okay, and we're back. And back with us tonight, some friends and colleagues who haven't been here for, well, a few months anyway, maybe a little longer. Ruben Uriarte and Noe Torres, two of the finest and most well-respected UFO researchers on the planet. Their website, of course, is available by clicking their name at rense.com, and it's the same. It's roswellbooks.com. All kinds of things there to look at, by the way, and lots of fascinating information. Let's check and see how our phone connections are. Ruben, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you, Jeff? And Feliz Navidad and a Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, sir. Same to you. I'm great. And Noe, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here in South Texas on the Rio Grande Valley, on the border of the Rio Grande River, and I'm happy to be on with you all tonight.
Well, it's nice to have you back. We're going to talk about something very interesting tonight. First of all, let me go back to Ruben quickly, and then we'll get Noe's take on this. What's happened in terms of Roswell since we last visited? Anything new?
Well, actually, we'll definitely, we need to include my good friend here, Noe. We've been, as far as our particular activities, Noe's come up with a great book. It's a guidebook on all the Roswell hotspots, and basically anyone who wishes to go to Roswell or cannot go to Roswell will get a really good opportunity of looking at all the historical landmarks that made up, the whole story of Roswell.
Right.
And something that we did that was really interesting there, Jeff, was that we've established a company that we do our tours. So we're taking people out, and Noe and our other good friend E.J. Wilson.
Yeah, sure.
We did a great job, and we had a number of people that joined our tours during the Roswell Festival.
How did that go? It went really well? It had to have.
Yeah, Noe, did you want to?
Yeah, Noe, tell us about it, because the last time you were on was prior to that, and we did talk about the fact that tours were going to be available, and I assume they were very well attended.
Yes, absolutely. We had great groups of people. Mm-hmm. We had several folks from the media as well.
Oh, really?
There's been a news story done just recently by a television station in Albuquerque about the tours. And so there's a great amount of interest in finding out more about the Roswell incident, the history of it, and how it ties into the present-day community of Roswell. Mm-hmm. The book that E.J. Wilson and I put together some months ago basically takes you on a building-by-building tour and explains exactly what happened in the history of the UFO case at each of those locations.
Really? And how many of the buildings... Excuse me, how many of the buildings are still there?
Oh, absolutely. We've got quite a number of buildings and sites that are still in existence.
Nice.
There's been I think we touched briefly the last time we were on there. There's been a few that unfortunately have been torn down that were an integral part of the case as well. But we still have, we identified over 30 locations and buildings within the present city limits of Roswell in which major parts of the Roswell UFO case in 1947 took place. And so these are places that you can actually go up to and listen to the story of what happened there and visualize what it must have been like back in the summer of 47.
You mean there's a recording that you can go up and listen to?
You can actually, there's one of two possibilities there. You can take the tours that are being offered by Roswell Tours, and E.J. Wilson is our tour guide. He worked for many years as a tour guide for the Roswell UFO Museum, and now he's doing these tours of these Roswell sites. Or you can just get a copy of our book and just follow it. The book is laid out in a logical sequence that takes you geographically through the city on a route of tracing the history of the UFO incident. So you can go place by place and read the description in the book as you go along, as you visit each of the locations. We've included maps and turn-by-turn directions and everything that's needed to visit these sites on your own. So it can be self-conducted, or you can take one of the Roswell tours that we offer. Either way on that.
That was a lot of work, I can tell, to put that together.
Absolutely, and it helped that Ruben and I and EJ have been involved with the Roswell UFO Festival for the past 5 years, and we've been there every year and have talked to all the major researchers who have had a role in this, received a great amount of assistance from folks like Tom Carey and Don Schmidt, Stanton Friedman. They all had a hand in the book and helping us put together the data on what exactly happened in 1947.
Very nice.
And so it was a great undertaking, and it really developed over the course of about a 5-year span. So yes, it did take a while.
We'll need to send you a copy there, Jeff.
Oh, I'd love to have one, Ruben. Both of you. That would be great. And give my best to EJ, please. That's
absolutely.
A wonderful
and EJ is
achievement.
listening tonight, by the way. He says hi to all your listeners and to
Excellent. Well, we'll have him back on and spend some more time on what you guys have put together at some point in the future. Let me ask another question. Ruben, the economy, of course, is bad, and that means people aren't traveling as far for vacations, if at all. Has this impacted Roswell much, or hopefully it would direct more Americans to stay home and visit some of the amazing things we have right here?
Well, that's a good point. This year, both Noe, EJ, and myself, when we had participated at the Roswell Museum, it seemed to have they received a really good audience. A number of people that actually had shown up. Overall, with the city, they also had. I think their attendance was maybe either about the same or slightly higher. They've had a number of different. The city would have its particular activities as well as with the museum. And I think this coming year, everything now is going to be coordinated through the Roswell International UFO Museum through Julie Schuster. So hopefully we're looking forward to seeing a great turnout. Now, who knows what the gas prices are going to be, Jeff? I mean, you brought up a good point with the economy, but hopefully that people will start doing a lot more
It's
traveling.
a wonderful town to visit. I mean, everyone I've talked to I have not been there yet, but everyone says it's just really nice, full of very friendly people, and it's fascinating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll have to have you come and do it. Maybe you could do a live show there one of these days.
Well, that would be fun. How many people are still alive who were, as far as we know? Of course, Tom, Carey, and Don Schmidt would know as well, but you two have been in this. How many are still alive who have stories to tell that haven't come forward yet? I know it's called Chasing the Undertaker, but this is important. There's still quite a few around, aren't there?
That's a very good question, Jeff, and really the number has dwindled down to a very small number.
Oh, it has.
Folks like Tom Carey and Don Schmidt that have done a lot of work on this.
Yes.
We've talked about how it's getting harder and harder for them to find any first-hand witnesses who worked at the Roswell military base back in the 40s. And just as an illustration of that, Jesse Marcel Jr., who was the son of the Army intelligence officer for the Roswell Army Air Base back in 47, he was a very young man. He was, I think, 11 or 12
years old, yeah.
When the Roswell incident happened, and now he's pretty much getting up there. He's in his 70s, and he's so that gives you some idea of the folks who were serving at the military base in 47 in Roswell would have been in their 20s, let's say late teens at the youngest, early to mid 20s probably. So those folks would now be in their 80s and 90s, so the number, to answer your question, has gotten very, very, very small.
I remember years ago, Tom and Don were telling me that they had quite a list, but this probably is 10 years ago now, and they were trying as fast as they could to contact these people and develop a relationship with them, some trust, so they could hopefully extract some information.
Yeah, and I'd like to recommend to your listeners Tom Tom Carey and Don. Fantastic book, Witness to Roswell. It contains the actual word-for-word eyewitness testimony from all the folks that they've been able to track down over the past 20 years, approximately. That book really is what inspired Ruben and myself and really opened our eyes to what the eyewitnesses said they saw. You know, there's a lot of conjecture from folks about what happened around the time of the Roswell incident. Folks have a lot of their favorite little theories, and a lot of speculation has been thrown into the mix. But to actually see in black and white the interviews that Tom and Don have conducted with the folks who were serving at the airbase, who saw all these things happen right before their eyes, that is the most fascinating and impressive testimony that
thank you for mentioning the book. We have to take a break here. Witness to Roswell, Tom Carey and Don Schmidt, authors. Truly an unforgettable book, and I hope all of you who have an interest in this will take a look at it. It's probably the definitive book on the whole case. Back in a couple minutes. Okay, back with Ruben Uriarte and Noe Torres. We have a special guest tonight. Noe, would you like to, we'll let both of you sort of introduce this gentleman. He's standing by with us right now. Noe, go ahead. Tell us who he is, and maybe, Ruben, you can give us a very quick overview about what we're going to hear.
There's a fascinating gentleman, Carlos de los Santos, a former pilot in Mexico, private pilot, and he had an amazing close encounter back in the mid-1970s. And the way we came across this story was when we were doing our book, Mexico's Roswell, about the collision of a small plane and a UFO in August 1974. We were looking at other cases that might have happened around the same time period involving UFOs and planes. And the preeminent case in Mexico at that time, and it happened 9 months after the Mexico's Roswell incident that our book, Mexico's Roswell, was about, was the Carlos de los Santos encounter in which his small plane came upon three UFOs that surrounded it. So this is a fascinating case and a fascinating gentleman.
Ruben, when you were researching this and looking back in Mexico for cases, how did you guys do it? Newspapers, primarily?
Well, originally, I was real fortunate to come across a audio tape of 18 minutes total of Carlos's communication with the air traffic controllers when he was being surrounded by the UFOs, and I'm sure he's going to share with you, and we also have a little clipping of that.
Oh, nice.
But definitely, as Carlos is flying and he's encountering these three objects around his plane, actually one was underneath his fuselage. As Noe said, he had no control of his plane. You could hear in his voice how terrified he was, and yelling, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday!" The distress call. What we really find really quite fascinating is that originally in our case in the Koyame, it dealt with a small UFO that collided with a small airplane. And in the report that's known as the Deneb report, is which Noe and I had researched, they described the disk as a small disk, approximately 16 feet in diameter. Now, Carlos had encountered similar disc, but three of them. But we're lucky that he's still around. And I'm sure
very good. Well, he's standing by right now. Carlos, are you there? Can you hear me all right? Can you hear everybody okay?
Yes. Hi from Mexico City.
Hello, Carlos.
And let me wish you a Happy New Year.
Thank you very much, sir. And the same from all three of us here as well.
Yeah. My English is not very good, but I'm going to try to do it.
You're doing great. No problem at all. Don't worry about it, please. Are you still flying, Carlos?
Not yet, because I was a commercial pilot for about 32 years.
32 years, wow.
Yeah, and no more.
Were you flying for an airline there?
In 1976, I was flying it for Mexicana Airlines.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, you are quite well qualified as a pilot and as an observer and a witness as well. This is interesting and very helpful. The idea, we're going to take a break here in just a couple of minutes, and we'll come back after the break and then hear your story. But let me ask you just a general question. It is well known among most of us in the United States that the issue of unidentified flying objects in Mexico is really of a much different nature in many ways than it is up here. And I'm wondering how much you followed the whole UFO business since this encounter you had. Do you watch and do you study? Do you pay attention, or do you kind of keep away from it now?
Well, this experience during about 18 minutes from VOR Tequesquitengo Radio 8 to Mexico Airport for about 18 minutes. And it was the May 3, 1975, flying from the port of Zihuatanejo, heading to the airport in Mexico City.
Right. Hold on right there, Carlos. We have to take a break in just a minute. So stand by. Don't go anywhere. Hold on.
Don't go.
We have to take a commercial break. Ruben and Noe, this issue of a different profile among American UFO, there's some differences down there. Are they still going on? I don't hear much anymore about things.
Well, actually, there's quite a bit of activity that we receive reports from numerous investigators from Mexico and Latin America. In fact, I was talking to Carlos a little while ago, and one of the popular shows, of course, is the History Channel UFO Files and the UFO Hunters, and they're showing all those programs in Spanish.
Oh, good.
And so the general public down there is getting an idea of the cases that are happening here in the United States and abroad. But gradually, there's an interchange. We're exchanging a lot of information. So the database it's growing in terms of the cooperation with our fellow investigators from Mexico and Latin America. So you're going to be hearing a lot more.
We can talk about this more at length later, but there's also a whole different approach that the Mexican people, the Mexican culture takes to UFOs.
Yeah, I'm aware.
It's more tied to their past and to their history, and so they approach the subject entirely different, in a different manner than we do here in North America.
Let's talk about that later. That's very interesting. All right, when we come back, we're going to hear Carlos tell us his story of flying his airplane, private pilot at the time, and what happened in just a couple minutes. Okay, welcome back. Talking with Ruben Uriarte and Noe Torres, and from Mexico, Carlos de los Santos. All right, Carlos, go ahead if you would and tell us your story. This is fascinating. Again, the year, please, and then go ahead.
Okay, I appreciate it. And to be flying on the VOR Tequesquitengo radio navigation 8, a dark gray object was flying over the left wing's upper surface for about 10 or 20 centimeters, close to the cabin. And then spent about 5 seconds when a second object of the same features was flying about the top surface of the right wing.
You're talking about 20 centimeters away? That's it?
Yeah, separate over the surface, the wing upper surface, for about 10 or 20, for about 10 or 20 centimeters.
That must have scared you half to death.
Yeah. And then when after about 5 seconds, for approximately a third object rushes from the 12 o'clock of my position to the windshield of the airplane. I thought this was going to hit the airplane, the windshield,
right?
But move it to the bottom of the fuselage, striking the surface landing.
Oh, it did impact the aircraft.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's amazing.
And it exists for 2 or 3 photographs for Mexican authorities in aeronautical inspection about the area and
yes.
Landing gear damage for the third object.
Was this a small plane with fixed landing gear down, or were they retracted?
No, it's a landing gear down. It's a Piper Comanche.
Got it.
It's a Piper PA-24 landing gear down.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I hope you're following this, folks. This is pretty darned amazing. What time of day was this, Carlos, please?
It was in May 3, 1975.
What time of day?
May 3.
Mm-hmm. May the 3rd. What time of day? Morning, evening, afternoon?
No, about 12 o'clock in the a.m.
Okay.
In the evening.
All right. 12 midnight.
No, midnight.
12 in the, okay. 12 noon.
Yeah.
Okay, 12 noon.
Once I was flying in the company of 3 objects. At that time, well, I was very nervous, and I began to mourn as a child. And I didn't know what was happening, because my mind could not believe what I was feeling.
Of course.
Then I communicated to the control center in Mexico Air Traffic Control in the frequency emergency.
Right.
Since she had no control over the aircraft, could not turn to the left, right, and could not descend. The landing gear was apparently damaged by the blue of the third object. Under these conditions, I continued with the 3 objects flying around the airplane for about 18 minutes.
That's a long time.
It's a very long time. Yeah.
Hold on, Carlos, just for a second. Noe, this is as close a contact as obviously you're going to get. There was apparent impact. These are the approximate 16-foot in diameter discs. This is broad daylight. This is astounding.
We were very much amazed, Jeff, at the similarities between this case, the experience that Carlos de los Santos is describing for us tonight, and the case in Coyame, Mexico, that happened just 9 months earlier in the so-called Mexico's Roswell case. You had both. You had small planes, very similar in description, both headed to Mexico City, to the airport in Mexico City, which is where Carlos was headed, as well as the plane that crashed with the UFO over Coyame. You had the description of the UFOs very similar. They were relatively small discs, about 16 feet in diameter, traditional disc-shaped objects with a control dome on top, is the way Carlos described it, as well as the description given in the Deneb report about the Coyame case. So Ruben and I, right away, when we were working on our book, Mexico's Roswell, we locked in on the similarities. And we, to the extent that we even wondered if perhaps something similar was happening to the plane over Coyame at the time that something went wrong and it actually crashed. The plane went down and one of the discs went down as well, just north of the town of Coyame, Chihuahua, Mexico, which forms the basis of our book. So the similarities were striking, and there were only a few months lapsed between the two incidents.
Right.
And but the story that Carlos has yet to tell us is even more fascinating, because he had some very weird things happen to him after his encounter.
All right. Well, we'll finish the story in just a minute. Anything to add here, Ruben?
Yeah, maybe Carlos could mention he was en route to the state of Guerrero. He was going to be taking some businessmen, and so it was on his return flight going back to Mexico City is when he had his encounter. And I'm sure that Carlos will probably mention, too, that when these objects were around his plane, they, as he had mentioned, he had no control of his plane. And one of the things that they did was they start raising his airplane up to higher elevation. And the danger with that was that Carlos's plane was not pressurized. And he was really concerned. And
for sure.
From 10,000 feet. So I'm sure he'll tell you a little bit more about that story.
Okay.
But after they let him go, those discs flew toward the two volcanoes that are around the perimeter of Mexico City.
Mount Popo?
Mount Popo and the other volcano that's also there located.
Okay, I gotcha. I understand. There have been a number of video cam images of discs and objects flying around Mount Popo over the years, many of them. Hold on. Hold on, we have to take a break, come right back, and hear some more from Carlos, and follow this very fascinating story, which is too close of an encounter. I mean, that's just amazing. Be right back. Okay, and we're back. Ruben Uriarte and Noe Torres and our very special guest from Mexico, Carlos de los Santos. All right, Carlos, you're in your airplane.
Yep.
There's a disc underneath you. There are three around you all together, and you have no control over the plane. Does this mean that the discs are somehow physically handling your aircraft, or have they taken over control electronically or some other means? Do you follow my question?
Yeah.
How are they controlling it?
At that time, I don't know nothing about that. After this experience, I know many people, they work for the NASA, and the name is Dr. Alan Hynek and Mr. Ray Stanford and Jack Ballet. And they explain me what happened at that time around the airplane. Perhaps the three objects formed the electromagnetic field around the airplane. Or after the 18 minutes at that experience, and so we went closer to the Valley of Mexico. Once that we were on the Sierra de la Jusco, the object on the left wing rose slowly, climbed slowly to fly the aircraft and head towards the volcano Popocatépetl. The object on the right wing can slide horizontally, following the left wing, and the object that was in the bottom of the fuselage, I saw when traveling, but still the other two. Fortunately, the only thing that saved my reputation as a human being, as a professional, are the statements of the air traffic controllers. They confirmed that its radar screen captured the presence of the three echoes around the aircraft.
Very good.
And,
very good.
Yeah. And
so
that, Irving? Yeah.
Noe mentioned that the three discs began to lift the plane higher. How much higher did you go? Do you remember?
Yeah. When I'm flying from Zihuatanejo and to Mexico City, I'm flying IFR by instrument, and I'm flying 10,000 feet.
Okay.
I check VOR Tequesquitengo at 10,000 feet. When the UFOs on the object positions of the aircraft the aircraft, the airplane, climbing for about 10,000 and 14,000 feet and 500. And this aircraft at that time, it wasn't pressurized, no pressurized aircraft, and I don't have any oxygen.
Understand. So they took you from 10,000 up to 14,500. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
How high could you go before you would really suffer from oxygen deprivation, do you feel?
Well, I don't understand very well your question. But,
Noe, can you help me out here?
Yeah. ¿Qué tan alto podía llegar antes de sufrir falta de oxígeno?
Oh, just 10,000. But when you're flying over the 10,000 feet, perhaps the human can't suffer the hypoxia.
I understand.
Do you know what I mean, the hypoxia?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can suffer hypoxia if you go over 10,000 feet.
Yeah, but when you have hypoxia, the symptoms, never you are going to see a rose elephant flying there or a piano flying at that level. The symptoms are different.
I see.
When you have the hypoxia, you can sick and the field is reduced around you, and you can't sick and you lost the space.
I see.
Jeff, I think we should mention that over the years, people looking at this very impressive case, some of the critics, the naysayers that we're well familiar with, have suggested that perhaps he was hallucinating from being above the nominal altitude.
Yeah, I understand.
So
right.
That's why he's making a point to say that you wouldn't have hallucinations. That isn't one of the symptoms. And his story has been checked out. He was cleared by doctors afterward and so forth. So it wasn't a hallucination.
I understand thoroughly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Carlos, go ahead, please.
Thank you. And then after this, when the radar screen captured the presence of the three echoes of the three discs, the three UFOs near the aircraft, and the cocked radar screen, the three objects made a 270-degree turn in radius of less than 3 miles at a speed of 400 to 450 knots.
Now, this is after they left the airplane, Noe? Or did
yes, he's describing the maneuvers when they separated from his vehicle.
Got it.
Yeah. And then, once the objects left me for about 18 minutes, I had a complete control of the airplane. I can turn to the left, right, up and down, and check and then after this, check the landing gear system. And it was damaged because I can't, when I put the landing gear lever down, and never I see the three green lights that you have the landing gear down and lock it.
Right.
Secondly, the airport control tower in Mexico, I was instructed to drive to make an approach to the runway 5 right and landed. But unfortunately, I could not do because the system was damaged. The landing gear system was damaged. And then finally, after completing for about 11 passes over the runway,
wow,
for about 1 hour and 70 minutes,
Gee.
finally, I'm landing, and with the complete landing gear down. It was not necessary to land in emergency conditions, because the 3 landing gear legs are down and locked.
And was this confirmed, Noe, by people on the ground trying to help him out with binoculars? I imagine they were.
Yes, that's correct. He had visual confirmation, and he decided to go ahead and attempt the landing.
Gee. Okay,
Yeah.
All right. So tell us how the landing went. No problem?
No, after this, I have many problems, and not for the UFOs, but yes, with the Mexican authorities.
I see.
Because later, I was taken to Medical Service City International Airport in Mexico City, because the authorities suspected that my health was not good, possibly. Perhaps they many things think. I had taken some drugs, or who had suffered from hypoxia by flying for about 10,000 feet without oxygen.
Understand. So they thought you had health problems, and they wanted to thoroughly evaluate you and study you. Okay.
Exactly. That's right. And this was a very unique experience for me.
I guess.
And everyone around me, because everyone of us in the same experience, life moment, but as I see objects, aircraft, radar, screens, my work, my family, my friends, and all the people that you heard about the event, indescribable, and you see it happen in seconds, you will die. I don't know. Do you understand me? Because my English is very, very terrible.
No, it's very understandable.
Good, Carlos.
No, Ruben, go ahead, and we got just a few seconds before the break here. We'll come right back.
Well,
But
I think one of the significant things that Carlos said was that the air traffic controllers, they were picking up 3 echoes on their radar screen.
Yeah.
And that's real significant, and that verifies that Carlos was describing 3 objects around his airplane, and it's being registered on the radar screen. And
I was wondering if we could listen to the brief conversation, the audio clip of his talking to the air traffic controllers. After
as soon as we come back, let's do it. Yeah. We're going to take a break now, and right after the top of the hour, we'll listen to a little recording of some of the conversation back and forth between Carlos de los Santos and the Mexico City ATC. It's very interesting. Back in a minute. Okay, and we're back. Hour number 3. Ruben Uriarte, Noe Torres, and special guest Carlos de los Santos from Mexico, who's described an extraordinary event that occurred to him, and he survived it, and we're happy to have him with us tonight. Okay, Carlos, anything you want to add to the discs themselves in terms of a description? They were, what color were they? And they had a dome on the top. Was the dome clear? Could you see through it, or was it also solid, looking like the rest of the disc itself?
Well, the characteristics of the UFOs, the disc, are the color gray, dark, mate, and the fuselage of the UFOs, it was just one piece of the how do you say in English? Is no screws,
no seams, no rivets, no screw. Understand? Yeah. Okay.
And they have approximately a windshield, like a windshield, but the glass it is dark. I can see inside the
interesting.
The UFOs.
Okay, so it was different. It was different than the
Very
actual
different.
the fuselage of the disc. It was a round, glass-like but dark dome on the top.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Very good.
And then, if you see an airplane or an helicopter,
Mm-hmm.
do you see the wings, the empennage, the engines?
Mm-hmm.
But when you see an object flying at the same altitude,
Mm-hmm.
at the same level, are you flying? And that object, that has wings, empennage, engines.
Mm-hmm.
How to fly? How they fly?
Mm-hmm.
We regard the behavior of the UFO. We know the wings, which empennage and foremost. What kind of engine used to disc for flying about the air?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it
All
was
right.
a very, very wonderful experience for me, because after this experience in 1975, I had 2 meetings with the Men in Black. Now, you know the Men in Black with the black beings.
Mm-hmm.
They tried it to persuade me that I don't manifest anything about my experience.
Well, they told you to be quiet. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In 1975, and the second meeting with these guys in 1977, and it's very, very hard for me, because for me and my family.
Yes.
Because this kind of people, at that time, I don't know nothing about the do you know the clonation?
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I have 2 meetings with 4 men, all the same bodies, all the same hair, all the same face, and the kind of language is exactly and very, very mechanic language.
Mm.
Yeah.
Were the Men in Black Latino, or were they North American, Caucasian?
No American, no Latino. Something like the. I see something like the. Do you know that people, the Vikings?
What, Noe?
On the north of Europe.
Okay.
Nordics.
The Nordics, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Nordic.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Vikings. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
But the 4 men are equals, the same body.
All the same.
Yeah,
Oh,
all the same.
that's weird.
Now, I have 59 years, and for about 59 years, I don't know the cigarettes, I don't know the liquors, I don't know the drugs and anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was an special experience for me, because I don't know what happened with us. I don't know what happened with humanity. But I asked many questions for me. But I don't know. But I'm very happy, and I'm very sad with this experience. After many years, like a commercial pilot for about 32 years.
Yeah, wow.
And many experience during flights, some in bad weather, some in very nice conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And my whole life, besides my family, I have come to me so many questions.
I understand.
Including,
well, yeah.
first, because some people have such experience.
Have you seen, Carlos?
I always consider myself very healthy during those 32 years.
Sure. Have you seen any
like
other? Did you see any other UFOs during your flying career?
Flying at that time, it was the only experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me play a little bit of a tape here of the conversation between you and the Mexico City control tower.
Oh, yeah? Oh, really?
Yeah, hold on a second. Here we go.
Okay. ¿Qué va a pasar la...?
Okay, very good. Did you hear that, Carlos?
Yeah.
You remember? You remember that?
I heard the communication.
Yeah.
I don't have in control of the aircraft when the UFOs flying with me.
Is that what you were telling them then?
Hear me?
What
was he saying, Noe, in that?
Yes, he was of course. It's a fascinating few seconds of tape there. We heard him say "Mayday, Mayday" over and over again, and he was telling the air traffic controllers that he had lost total control of his plane, that he was not flying his own aircraft, that the controls were no longer operational. So that's what he said in that short burst there, that he had no control of his airplane.
Well, you certainly could hear the emotion and intensity in his voice, but still professional.
Yeah.
And that's pretty amazing.
That's just 39 seconds, but we have 18 minutes of Carlos communicating back and forth with the air traffic control tower.
The visits of the men in black, on two occasions, two of them, is emblematic of obviously a very major case. They don't show up every time. There's a sighting, but when there's a big one like this, they seem to know what's going on. Anything, Ruben, you can add about the visits that Carlos mentioned?
You know, as Carlos was mentioning, when he returned back, he went through a series of medical examinations. And one of the things about his case, it was nationally televised throughout Mexico and Latin America.
It was. All right. Good.
And so this attracted the attention of some prominent UFO researchers, as Carlos had mentioned, J. Allen Hynek, Jack Millay, and several others. They actually came down to visit him in Mexico, and they wanted to get more information from Carlos of his unique experience. And Carlos was also working very closely with another UFO investigator, Pedro Perizu, which is Mexico's godfather of ufology, basically.
Very good. Okay, stand by just a minute, gentlemen. We'll take a break and come right back after this. Okay, and we're back with Ruben, Noe, and Carlos. All right, let's kind of wrap this up with Carlos, and it's probably late. He wants to get to rest here. What do we need to cover, Noe, that we haven't yet?
Okay, there's a very interesting kind of footnote to this, besides the two visits he had from the Men in Black. It turns out that this, as Ruben was pointing out, this encounter that Carlos had with the three UFOs was nationally publicized in Mexico. And, in fact, we have the front cover of the Mexico City newspaper from May 5th, 1975 that I'm looking at here. We have a reprint of it in our book, Mexico's Roswell, in which Carlos's incident appears in Second Coming font on the front page of the Mexico City newspaper. So in this article about what happened to him, one of the air traffic controllers from Mexico City International Airport, Emilio Estañol Lopez, and another one, in fact, two of the guys, Interian Diaz, both air traffic controllers, verified Carlos's story in the article. And they said that what they saw on radar, they saw the strange radar blip that executed a 270-degree turn in a radius of 3 or 4 miles at a speed of nearly 600 miles per hour. And
Wow.
the air traffic controller stated on the record that they knew of no man-made aircraft in 1975 that could execute such a maneuver. So the article and the information that came out after this his encounter certainly verified his visual observations on board that plane about what happened. It was a terrifying incident, and it is recognized by UFO researchers as one of the top pilot eyewitness testimonies of a close-hand UFO encounter in history.
Sure. Oh, yeah, for sure. Carlos, is there anything you would like to add to the wonderful description you've given us?
Well, yes. I would like to tell you something. Is for about my life. At that time, in 1975, when Dr. Alan Heine coming to Mexico City to talk with me, he showed me a letter from the President of the United States, Mr. Gerald Ford. Mr. President Gerald Ford sent to Mr. Alan Heine when the Alan Heine is an how do you say, assessor in the U.S. Air Force, for the U.S. Air Force, and concerned to the NASA with Ray Stanford. And I'm very glad with that letter from the President of the United States.
Oh, sure.
Because many people think about me that guy are crazy. Carlos are crazy. Carlos are suffered hypoxia. Carlos are many things.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I saved my reputation, I'm going to tell you again, my reputation like a human, like a martial pilot, like a professional, is the manifest of the controllers. But that's the only thing that I can say to you.
What was the last meeting with the men in black? What did they say to you at that time? Do you remember?
Yes. The first meeting, it was in 1975, when Mr. Pedro Ferriz in Mexico. Pedro Ferriz is a personal like Alan Hynek,
right?
Because he has now 19 years old, and he's live. And it was the first meeting. And the second meeting and the last meeting with the Men in Black, it was in the same year when Alan Hynek come here to Mexico and to talk with me in 1975. And then in 1977, it was the first convention, UFOs convention in Acapulco, Acapulco Convention Center in 1977. Yeah.
¿Qué te dijeron los Men in Black, Carlos?
Okay. The first meeting with the Men in Black, the only thing that they told me, if you, I'm driving on the freeway to the TV for the first interview with Pedro Ferriz.
Right.
And I'm driving in the freeway, And at that time, there are many traffic in Mexico City. And I'm driving, and for the left side of the car, of my car, one black car, like the diplomatic car, for me. And the second car coming from the right side and stop in front of me. I don't know what happened at that time. I don't think nothing about the UFOs. I don't think nothing about nothing. And I think about some traffic problem.
Right.
But I try to get down of my car for see what happened. And from the car in the front, they come in two men. And the left car, they come in two men more.
Huh.
The four men are the same characteristics.
Right, understand. Hold on, Carlos, would you please, just for a minute, we have to do a little business. We'll be right back with you, and here's some more right after this. Okay, we're back, and I want to hear, Carlos is explaining how the men in black apprehended him or stopped him with two cars, one left, one in front of him, and made him stop, and then four men approached him right on the road. And what did they say to you? And they all looked the same. They all looked the same. That's kind of scary by itself.
Well, one of those guys, those four guys, one of them coming to my car, and he put his face into my car, and I'm the request to the right side of the co-pilot's seat, and he told me, if you appreciate your life, don't talk anymore. Don't say nothing. That's it. The four guys go to the cars and go everywhere. I don't know where. But
were these Carlos? Were these cars black American vehicles? Yeah. These cars is some the diplomatic cars, black cars, Ford. Like at that time, it's do you know the Grand Marquis? Sure.
Something like that. Something like that.
Like a big Lincoln or something, I think. Anyway.
Something like that. Right. Now it's Lincoln. At that time, it's Grand Marquis.
Okay.
Yeah, diplomatic.
Right.
Like,
all right. That's the first visit. What happened in the second visit 2 years later? When they came to visit you again?
No, but not too late. 2 years later.
Oh, it was the same. When was it?
In the same year, in 1975, the second experience with the Men in Black. It when Mr. Alan Hynek coming here, I talked with him about my experience for about Alan Hynek coming here in Friday, and we talked with him in the 4 p.m. from 4 p.m. to the 4 a.m. on his hotel here in Mexico City. And then to the next day, in Saturday, the American Embassy is going to give him a cocktail for Alan Hynek. In Sunday, Alan Hynek invited me to take a breakfast with him. And when I go to take a breakfast in Sunday with Alan Hynek, I'm parking my car on the street near to the hotel, Alan Hynek Hotel.
Right.
And I put my keys, the car keys, on my bag, with my face down and walking up the stairs
Mm-hmm.
to the hotel. When I feel in a hit, a hand hit me on my body,
Mm-hmm.
and I turned my face up, and I see this guy, just one of those guys,
Look the same?
the same guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he told me, how do you say, se te avisó una vez,
I told you
have
once before.
yeah, and turn around, and you are not going to see to the Mr. Alan Hynek. When I stayed outside my car, when I stay on the street, I get some value for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to talk with this guy. I tell him, well, I don't know what happened with you, because if I can support it, if I can give some values for my experience,
Right.
I don't have problem with nothing. But I need to talk with Mr. Alan Hynek, and he tell me, you are not going to talk with Alan Hynek. Turn around and go and get lost, or go get lost, something like that.
Uh-huh. Was he speaking Spanish to you?
No. Well, yes, in Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
in Spanish. Both interview in Spanish.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So
And,
what did you say to him?
I say to him, well, sir, como dice Rubén, yo no estoy tratando, si yo puedo aportar algo útil, no tengo ningún inconveniente.
If I have something important to say, there's nothing that can stop me from saying it.
Very
I
good.
Say it.
Very good.
Yeah. Yes. And he told me, turn around. You are not going to see to Alan Hynek doctor. And y después le digo, me dice, he told me, ¿por qué saliste de Mexicana de Aviación y qué trabajas en Mexicana de Aviación, o por qué vienes de Mexicana de Aviación?
He wanted to know about his history with the company, with the airline company that he was working with in Mexico.
Mexicana Airlines.
Mm-hmm.
Mexicana.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently he knew
And
about
then
his flying
I told him, yo le dije, porque estaba yendo a unas clases de simulador.
He was taking some flight simulator training at the time, so
Right.
he told the men in black that the reason he was not with the company at that time was because he had been sent to take flight simulator training.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And then he told me, turn around. You are not going to see Mr. Alan Hynek doctor. Go away, get lost from here. I don't say nothing. I'm turn around. I'm going to my car, take my car, and then I'm going to see my father. My father was working on the same company in Mexicana.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and that's it. But
So you left. Did you leave? You left.
I'm left. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So that threat worked.
And that was
Okay.
the second interview, the second with this guy.
Carlos, were you
But
able
in
to meet with
1975.
Carlos, were you able to meet with Dr. Hynek later? Did you meet with him after all?
Pardon me? I didn't understand.
Did you meet with Dr. Hynek afterwards, or
We'll be right back. Hang on,
Okay,
gang.
we'll
Go ahead, Ruben. We'll talk to him if you can, and we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, let's get right back to our final segment. Carlos, did you get to meet with Dr. Hynek after the man in black told you to leave?
Yes, bueno.
Carlos, did you meet Dr. Hynek after the man in black told you to leave? Did you meet him later?
No entiendo. ¿Qué dice Rubén?
Que si usted tuvo una junta con el doctor Hynek después de esa
amenaza.
amenaza, sí. Ajá.
¿De la segunda amenaza?
Sí.
But in 1977.
2 years. I see. So it was 2 years
in
later.
1977 in Acapulco Convention.
I see. Did you, Noe, go ahead and ask him, or Ruben, did he explain to Dr. Hynek why he didn't meet with him 2 years earlier? I'm sure he must have.
Que si usted le explicó al doctor Hynek que lo que sucedió con los hombres en negro.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
In 1975, Mr. Pedro Ferriz talked with Alan Hynek, explained him what happened in that Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1977, I talked with Alan Hynek, and I talked with Ray Stanford, and Ray Stanford told me at that time what happened with the black men, and I explained everything about that two experience.
I see.
And Mr. Ray Stanford explained me many things about the black men, the men in black, because he say me, Carlos, you never think like the NASA is everything in NASA is spaceships. No, in NASA we have many departments dedicated to investigate many experience, the paranormal phenomena, or with something how do you say, muchas cosas. Como dices, Rubén, en la NASA tienen muchos departamentos de investigación.
Yeah, NASA has various departments.
That's interesting that they have a paranormal investigation department. I didn't know. They're interested
at
in a lot
that time,
of things.
Ray Stanford explained me, si puedes decirle, Rubén, ellos fueron por parte de la NASA a una convención de brujería en Colombia.
Oh, wow. They went on behalf of NASA, to a conference in Colombia on regarding witchcraft.
Who went?
Ray Stanford,
NASA
personal
NASA
que trabajaba para la
personnel
NASA.
to study witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, fascinating.
There's a conference going on in Colombia.
Well, that kind of reminds me of the story of NASA being involved down in Chile in the Chupacabra and flying in there in a small, well, it wasn't an airliner, but it was a jet, and it was a NASA jet, and they had a cage, and there was all kinds of reports down there. The Miami UFO Reporting Center.
Dr. Olsefo, I'm trying to remember his name. Yes, fascinating story.
Osejo Sanchez, anyway. He's a wonderful man. He was down there. But NASA is military, all right, ultimately. It is. It answers to the military.
But as Carlos was saying, they're interested in various aspects of the
That's
paranormal.
right. They're interested in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Okay. And Ray Stanford explained me at that time when they go to the Colombia, they was have an experience with many black men.
Oh, they did
in Colombia.
Well, those men in black get around. Well,
right. That's right.
Okay,
that's
Carlos.
Right.
I want to thank you. Muchas gracias for being here. And tell him, gentlemen, that he just did a superb job explaining the story, if you would. Just remarkable. Make sure you underscore that for me.
Gracias, Carlos, por su excelente presentación de su experiencia.
It was my pleasure, and I'm going to repeat. I have 59 years old, and 32 years like a commercial pilot.
Yes.
But it's very sad for me because my ears are very damaged, and I would like to fly more years, but it's impossible for me because something is happening into my body.
I'm sorry.
Principally my ears. And sorry because my English is poor. My English is not very good.
No need to apologize, my friend. It was very good. Excellent.
It's enough to say Happy New Year and God bless you, USA.
Thank you. And the same to you. Happy New Year, Carlos, and God bless you.
God bless you to you. Thank you. Okay. I appreciate it.
Okay. What a fine man. Extraordinary story. And just all the ingredients you could imagine would be there. Are there?
Yeah, fascinating. Actually, I wanted to say that for Carlos, this is the first time he's ever shared his story to an English-speaking audience.
Really?
Yes, well, you're the first premier. I mean, he's done a number of presentations in Mexico, but never to an English-speaking audience.
Well, I'm very honored, and I thank you and Noe for that, of course, and I'll make sure you get a sound file and use it any way you'd like. That's just an incredible story. Wow. These men in black, they're punks.
Yeah.
And they all look the same. That's the bizarre thing. It's suggestive, of course, of some kind of cloning or something, because they're all identical. And these were blonde Nordic types, not the olive-skinned Middle Eastern types, I guess.
Right. And the fact that they had threatened him. One of the things that I believe he didn't get a chance to say was that he went to go visit his father, and he talked to his father about his experience with the men in black and how he was concerned about the safety of his family. And he basically said, I am going to speak at that conference that happened in 1977 in Acapulco that he mentioned. He was actually a participant of that. So he said, I have something to say. And so it's an amazing experience.
Well, he's a man of great character, obviously, a brave man. A lot of people would just shut up, but one wonders how many people the men in black have shut up over the years. Have you had any reports lately of any encounters with men in black? I haven't.
I haven't heard of any recently. It's amazing that there was much more going on in the 70s and 80s, but and probably early 90s. They probably are appearing in a whole different form through other types of agencies. And
well, the whole thing is evolving all the time.
Yeah,
it's not static in no way. Remarkable. Noe, step up here. Anything you have to add to that? That was just an amazing journey we took with him.
Yes, it's fantastic. And the thing I wanted to just remind everyone about is that this case bears the striking similarities to the Koyame UFO crash between a plane and an unknown object, which we have a lot of information about in our book, Mexico's Roswell, and we've got a couple of chapters in there about the Carlos de los Santos UFO encounter as well. If people would like to get our book, just go to roswellbooks.com, and the title is Mexico's Roswell, for a lot more information about Carlos de los Santos' case, as well as the case that happened 9 months earlier, the collision between the plane and the UFO over Koyame, Chihuahua. The two cases are very interrelated. as you probe the details of both, you see the similarities.
Yeah. All right, you guys are doing some amazing work. Their book is well worth reading, Mexico's Roswell. And just click on their name, roswellbooks.com, and you can go there, and it's available there. Very good.
Well, thank you, Jeff, for the invitation. And
of course.
We're
we have
really
just
happy
a minute and a half or so here, and I just want anything we need to wrap up on this one. I think we've got it pretty well done. Hynek, of course, knew so much, and it's too bad he's not still with us.
Yes.
Amazing. What a treasury of knowledge he had amassed. This issue of the cover-up has got this. First of all, I don't pay attention to it here, but for people who are out there who are threatened, that's not good. That's not right. It's wrong. We have a birthright to know about these things, and it quite frankly is a very big and rather vile chapter, I think, in America's governmental and military manipulations of the population to threaten people. And it happens here, these Americans going, obviously, are Americans. The men in black going to Mexico, they probably go everywhere. I heard stories of them in Brazil and Argentina. And the Virginia case, I believe there were men in black down there, too. Do you remember that, the Virginia case?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, of course. All right, gentlemen. Noe, Happy New Year, my friend. Thank you. It's great to talk to you, as always. Just wonderful.
Yes, same here. Wonderful to be on. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay. All right, my friend. And Ruben, Happy New Year to you. Look forward to our next conversation, whatever that may hold. I'm more than ready.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Noe, Happy New Year to you, too.
Same to you all. Good night.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
And thanks to all of you. And Happy New Year to you, too. Hang on tight. It's going to be a bumpy ride, that's for sure. All right, we'll be back tomorrow night. See you then.